As you know, I work for the British Council, and our business is to build a positive relationship between countries. In nowadays, there's lots of pain around the world because of wars, terrorism, and everything that's going on in a negative way. How do you think literature can collaborate? What is the role of literature in that aspect? Do you think that literature can help people look at different cultures in a positive way?
Well, I think it's about, this notion of social capital. It's about the idea of the capacity that I think it can help, but I think it's not. There are certain kinds of books that help people to understand that other people are human in the same way that they are, and they're very important books. I mean, I'm not sure that they're the kind of books I write, but I admire the people who write them. They're very. But I don't think that's all there is to it. I have to say that I think I'm not one of those writers who believes that literature is an essential thing in some way. Actually, to me, food and medicine and education are real essentials, and literature is not a luxury, but it's something that builds upon that kind of basis. It's useless saying to people who haven't got enough to eat or who have an unacceptably high mortality rate, you should be reading classic novels, and it will help you to understand other people and not feel aggressive towards them. It's a meaningless concept, But I think a lot of the intercommunal, both within countries and between countries, a lot of the intercommunal. I think if the novels of Mahfouz, the Egyptian writer, were read more in the USA, they might understand. I think it's difficult with the Islamic world because, of course, they have a problematic relationship with literature. It's kind of an issue for them, the idea of how novels stand in relation to the Quran and what they mean. So that's kind of problematic. But yes, I think in general, people who read a lot of novels tend to not be very aggressive, partly because that's what they're doing all the time.
Okay, this is on its 5th edition.
Yeah.
What do you think about this big festival where you have so many international and national writers all changing ideas, coming together? What is your thought about this festival? What do you think of it?
Well, of course, there are a lot of literary festivals in England. It's become almost like some strange cultural political movement for the English middle class. There are 150 literary festivals in England every year, and I think it's an interesting thing because writing and reading is a very intimate act. It's a very anonymous act. We've all had the experience, if we enjoy reading, of feeling in touch with a writer. But you don't really know them, they don't know you, they don't know what gender you are, what colour you are, what class you are, even if you're reading a writer in translation, what nationality you are. It's not. Whereas literary festivals are almost the opposite of that. They're about personal contact, they're about people coming together, they're a mass event rather than a solitary event. So they're very interesting in that way. And to be honest, I think they're only partly about books. What they're more about is about a kind of cultural identification for people. It's about sort of saying, we're the kind of people who read, and we're going to get together and separate that and celebrate that fact. And that's okay, that's fine, but I think we need to recognize them for what they are. It may be that I'm a particularly close. It strikes me as we live in a very different kind of global culture now. It's an aspect of globalization is that, I'm sure it's true here in Brazil as much as it is in Europe or the USA. It's kind of, you can say anything now in relatively open, relatively democratic societies, but nobody's listening. There is a babel of voices and of competing things, and there is no avant-garde anymore. There is no sexual taboo that's to be broken. The power of the church has declined. I'm sure that's true here in Brazil. You can probably say offensive things about cardinals or bishops or pretend that they're transsexuals or, which years ago would be regarded as terrible. How could you do such a thing? So you can say anything, but kind of nobody's listening. They're very distracted. And, I think, so when you talk about the Literary Festival as a forum for ideas, I'm sorry, I'm not really convinced that it does operate that way. Not for me. Because again, writers are very, what's replaced those issues with conformity and rebellion is the market and the obsession with the marketplace. And, I think you might be quite disillusioned if you talk to even some quite famous writers about what their attitudes are, because often they're quite commercial, they're quite concerned about their book sales, they're quite concerned about, I can only say it as I find it, but I think there's some truth in that.
But we're very happy to have you here.
I'm very happy to be here.
Thank
Who could not be?
Yeah,
You have to be a really miserable
place.
person.
Yeah. Thank you for letting us know a little bit more of you, touch you, know how your mind works a little bit, and have this access.
That's a real pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Wish you all the best in this trip in Paraty, in Brazil.
Yes.
And hope you keep on writing for us to keep on reading.
There's no danger of it stopping.
All right then. Thank you.